Hi, my name is Jason Rulo. I'm the owner of Assault Fitness LLC in St. Louis, Missouri. And one thing I want to cover that I think is not covered enough when it comes to the obstacle course racing, which is the new fad in races these days, is apparel. Everybody talks about how to train for the race. In some of our other videos, shoots, we've talked about how to run the race, traverse obstacles, all that type of thing. But what about what to wear? Because it seems to me, having done many of these races, that the people would rather show off their bodies than wear the appropriate clothing. Remember that you're out there to run the race, and you're out there to be safe and not to get hurt and not to scratch yourself all up, because although bumps and bruises are nice to brag about, you might want to think about putting clothing on that will cover that stuff up to keep you from getting those bumps and bruises or to getting the scrapes and then going out and jumping into a muck of water that is not necessarily sanitary. Think about what that might do to the scrape. So with the clothing, we don't want anything that's restrictive. We don't want anything that's overheating, but we do want protection. I mean, for instance, with the upper body, with the average race that's say 50 degrees or above, you don't necessarily need an entire covered upper body. So something like I'm wearing here, which is a sleeveless shirt, I've gotten along with fine down to 40 degrees. If you're not so used to the cold, maybe you want something a little more covering, but going shirtless, come on guys. The ladies aren't caring about your abs when you're out there running a race. You might want to think a little bit more about covering up, at least covering up the midsection here so that when you're climbing over a wall such as this behind me, you're not going to scrape yourself all up. With the pants, I typically wear cargo pants. Pants, BDUs, whatever you want to call them, military style pants. These pants are actually built for things like this. If you tear them, they're not going to rip all open. If you need protection from briars or brush that's out on the ground, you're not going to have to worry about getting scratched. And they breathe pretty well. They also are plenty loose and baggy. If I wanted to squat down, climb over stuff, all that, they're not going to impinge my movement at all. Ladies like to wear the Lycra pants, whether it be yoga pants or things of that nature. That's fine. Guys, if you really want to wear that, I guess you could wear that too. But ladies, that's fine. At least it covers you up. That's the key. One thing with these cargo type pants that you need to keep in mind is that they will hold water. So with the pockets on the side, you may want to cut holes in them because you're going to come out of a water hole and you're going to look like Bubble Boy with big pockets full of water. Cutting holes is something that I definitely recommend, and I'm talking about all the holes. Probably the back pocket's not a big deal, but at least the side holes, anything on the legs and then the hand pockets. As far as, and you'd probably definitely want to have a belt. They may be snug and tight when you're wearing them. When they start to get wet, they might pull down a little bit. So definitely have a belt that'll secure your pants no matter what their weight is. As far as the lower body, this is probably the most important thing, which it seems to me that most people do the Spartan races and the Tough Mudders. I guess they're trying to show how tough they are. The key is safety, as far as I'm concerned. I'm in this thing for a profession, and I'm not out there to get hurt. So if I out there and I sprain an ankle, or I break an ankle, break a foot, something like that, that's really not beneficial. But so everything from the knee down is really where we're looking to try to protect. If you need a knee brace, if you have to wear that type of thing, that's fine. But it's definitely something you want to think about. As far as me, I prefer boots. But not only do I prefer boots, but I actually prefer long socks that actually come all the way to the knee. The purpose of that is to protect my lower leg and my shin, but I've run enough of these races where the boots actually pull down the sock. And if you got wet boots and a sock down bunched up in your boot, it's not real comfortable to be able to run multiple miles like that. So I prefer socks that don't come down. But what about what type of socks? That's actually a key. That's a key that you really need to think about. What goes on your leg from the knee down is quite important. So just running out there and wearing your average everyday running sock with your average everyday running shoe or your minimalist shoe, don't get me started about the Vibram. Guys and girls, Vibrams are not good for this type of race. If you look at the bottom of the shoe is simply set up to provide a rubber surface. It's not provided any type of grip whatsoever. So when you try to climb over an obstacle like this, where you have to actually put your foot or any type of mud hill, you're not going to get any kind of traction. Those toes Those toes aren't actually functioning toes. They're just little slits to make your shoes look funny. The key with everything as far as I'm concerned with the knee down is safety and support. You want a good grip, you want good support with your ankles, all that type of thing. So, what type of shoes should you wear? If you're gonna wear minimalist shoes or any type of regular running shoe, think about this in great detail. Because if you're gonna run more than one of these races, the average everyday running shoe is not built for the type of terrain that you're running and the amount of water that you're actually going to be traversing through. So the glue, the shoes are gonna fall apart. Okay, so if you're just trying to run one race, that's no big deal. I typically will run between 6 and 10 a year. So if I run 6 and 10 a year, I need a boot that's gonna stay together. I need a shoe that's gonna stay together. You don't have to run in boots, but you need a shoe that's gonna be made for something that's a little more durable. That unfortunately means they're gonna be a little more heavy, but that's the key. As far as I'm concerned, a boot like this is made by Hanson Under Armour. It's called the Veritech. It is 15 ounces in the size shoe that I have. So my 15-ounce boot weighs about as much as your Gore-Tex running shoe. That's going to provide a whole lot more support. If you look at the bottom of the boot, it's got tabs on it, so you got a decent amount of traction on the outside. It's got plenty of ankle support here. It's also got good, strong laces. This boot is not going to come off when you stick your foot in a mud hole. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, I've had to pull many a shoe out of a mud hole. For people that run around me, it's not real fun to have to stop your running due to your shoe getting stuck in the mud. The other thing that's important is what goes inside the boot that's going to keep you from having to stop the race. Blisters. How do you prevent blisters? Runners, they do all kinds of things. They put blister block on there. They put Band-Aids on. They tape their feet. They do all that. That's not going to work in this type of environment because your feet are wet all the time. So how do you prevent blisters? Got a few tips for you. Number one, put Vaseline on your bare skin. Once you put the Vaseline on, you're going to have a lot less friction going on no matter how wet your feet are, because that's key. Your feet are always going to be wet. I also recommend a sock liner of this type, okay? You can have a regular Cool Max type running sock or dry fit type running sock, which is going to be a lot shorter. Because I have boots, I need the full length sock, but this boot liner or sock liner is going to help provide an extra barrier of protection. And then I put the sock, like I showed before, the soccer sock or a longer sock on as my basic sock protection inside my boot. The key is you want to decrease the friction as much as possible. I know it sounds warm to be able to be wearing all these clothes, but I'm thinking protection as much as I am anything else. I have had more than my fair share of equipment malfunctions during races. Don't want any anymore. So most of my tips are to prevent equipment malfunctions. If you want to do it a different way, be my guest. But these tips, at least implementing some of them, will definitely help you out. A few things that are race aside, things you never want to forget when you bring to an obstacle course race. Always have an extra pair of clothes with you. My recommendations for underwear, ladies and gentlemen, tri-shorts, biker shorts, that type of thing underneath your pants. Ladies or guys, doesn't matter. You want to be able to take your pants off and not have to worry about your underwear or whatever else is under there showing. I've seen guys run the race in their underwear. To each his own. Not really something I'm looking to do. But tri-shorts, lycra shorts of some sort that are going to be easily fit underneath your pants, that's going to be a good idea for changing into your extra pair of clothes. In addition, bring a pair of sandals or shoes or something that you're going to be able to change into, because your boots are going to be nasty or your shoes are going to be nasty. Also, don't forget the beach towel. You definitely want to have a beach towel. You're going to need something to sit on or something to put your feet on when you're trying to change, and probably don't want to get that stuff in your car. So you want to put that in the car, all that type of stuff. On top of that, don't ever forget this. This is your savior. If you don't have this, I hope you got a good pickup truck or something where you don't have to put your clothes in any type of internal environment. If you got an SUV and you don't have a bag like that, man, it's going to smell to high heaven. Because that water and muck that you're climbing through, that ain't the most sanitary stuff. It's your shoes and your boots will rank for a few days even after you wash them, most likely. I hope these tips you take to heart. Not everybody's going to do exactly what we like here at Assault Fitness, but I'm just trying to provide you an idea of what to do when you get out in an environment that you can't control. In the military, we always plan for the unexpected. Plan for the unexpected. You won't be disappointed. See you in the next video.